This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, military air defenses shot down multiple explosive-laden drones targeting U.S. diplomatic and military facilities in Erbil, Iraq. Authorities said the attacks were foiled before impact, with no casualties or major damage reported. Tensions between Washington and Mexico City continued to escalate as President Claudia Sheinbaum fired back at the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. She urged the DEA to clean up its own backyard amid disputes over U.S. security operations in Mexico. ECOWAS defense and diplomatic leaders have approved a plan to activate a regional standby force. The proposed deployment aims to strengthen the fight against expanding jihadist insurgencies across West Africa. China has condemned new U.S. legislative efforts to impose 100% sanctions on major buyers of Russian energy. Beijing called the proposal an illegal act of economic coercion and warned it would be counterproductive. Back home, the defense team of Vice President Sara Duterte says it is keeping all legal options open. The lawyer said they will consider constitutional remedies if the impeachment court allows subpoenas for the vice president's bank, tax, and financial records. And former presidential legal counsel Salvador Panelo says the U.S. campaign against the International Criminal Court is long overdue. Panelo urged the Marcos Jr. administration to reassess its cooperation with the ICC and disregard the tribunal's actions. I'm Carlo de la Peña. Newsline World starts now. Military interceptors engaged and downed multiple bomb-laden drones targeting U.S. diplomatic and military installations in the northern Iraqi city of Erbil. This report. Explosions lit up the night sky over northern Iraq as regional hostilities threatened to completely shatter the fragile ceasefire. On Wednesday evening, air defense systems stationed near the heavily fortified U.S. consulate in Erbil were triggered into action, launching interceptor missiles to neutralize a swarm of incoming attack drones. Local counter-terrorism units reported that coalition defenses successfully downed up to 8 explosive-laden aircraft hovering over the Kurdish regional capital. While falling debris damaged civilian property, including local vehicles, no casualties were reported. The aerial assault lands on the fifth day of direct, intense military exchanges between Washington and Tehran, following weeks of mutual accusations of ceasefire breaches. Speaking at the sidelines of the NATO summit in Turkey last week, U.S. President Donald Trump boasted of the absolute superiority of American naval defense capabilities during the recent hostilities. Trump cited a massive, rapid-fire missile attack launched by Tehran's forces targeting the carrier strike group of the USS Abraham Lincoln, claiming all incoming targets were effortlessly neutralized.
We had 111 missiles shot a few weeks ago by our lovely friends from Iran. They were aimed at the Abraham Lincoln, which is a beautiful aircraft carrier, by the way. The SS Abraham Lincoln, 111 in a short period of time. Out of the 111 missiles shot, 111 missiles were knocked into the sea easily. Think of that. And I called the captain of the ship. He wasn't even sweating.
The sudden spike in hostilities coincides with Iraqi Prime Minister Ali al-Zaidi's state visit to Washington, a diplomatic trip strongly rejected by pro-Iran Iraqi militias who have consistently targeted coalition bases. Despite the June 17 60-day memorandum designed to lay out structural frameworks for regional security, the continuous use of armed drones and heavy rocket arrays highlights the deep friction threatening to draw regional centers directly back into the theater of war. A cargo ship has split in half in the Strait of Hormuz after a collision with an unidentified vessel. Iranian authorities confirmed that all 23 crew members aboard were successfully rescued and are now in good health. Iranian media has published footage showing a cargo ship sinking in the Strait of Hormuz after a reported collision with another vessel. The video, filmed from a passing speedboat, shows the ship partially submerged with much of its midsection underwater. Reports indicate the vessel, the 32-year-old cargo ship Luni, registered in St. Kitts, was at anchorage off Iran's Bandar Abbas when the incident occurred. The collision caused a catastrophic hull fracture, which saw the vessel split in half. The incident occurred in the early hours of Tuesday when the cargo ship struck an unidentified vessel. Iranian authorities announced they successfully rescued all 23 crew members. The sailors were safely transferred to Kesham Island and are reported to be in good health. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian condemned U.S. legislative efforts to impose 100% sanctions tariffs on major buyers of Russian energy, Prince Tripoli reports.
China has warned Washington of severe economic countermeasures in response to escalating trade and sanctions pressure. At a press briefing in Beijing, Foreign Minister spokesperson Lin Jian issued a sharp warning against proposed U.S. energy legislation targeting major buyers of Russian crude. The controversial bill of the late South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham has received public backing from President Donald Trump. Lin slammed the punitive measures as illegal, unilateral coercion lacking any foundation in established international law.
中方坚决反对没有国际法依据、未经联合国安理会授权的非法单边制裁，将采取一切必要措施，坚定维护本国企业和公民的正当权益。搞双重标准和胁迫施压，最终只会搬起石头砸自己的脚。
The high-stakes trade friction centers around proposed legislation that would slap a massive 100% tariff on the 5 largest global purchasers of Russian oil and gas, directly threatening Beijing's industrial baseline. Turning to newly announced U.S. sanctions targeting entities tied to Cuba, Lin urged the White House to immediately abandon its 6-decade-long economic blockade, which she claimed continues to severely damage civilian survival. Additionally, the spokesperson criticized Western decoupling strategies, citing research warning that eliminating dependence on Chinese manufacturing by 2050 would cost U.S. and European economies over $23 trillion in forced investments.
当前全球的产供链深度互嵌、优势互补，早已形成了一荣俱荣、一损俱损的利益共同体。人为的搞脱钩断链， 构筑保护主义的壁垒，强行的重构产供链，不仅将付出高额的经济成本，也违背市场规律和企业的选择，最终只会让各方付出更大的代价，得到更少的收益。
While Capitol Hill lawmakers argue that aggressive tariff penalties are necessary to dry up Moscow's primary revenue streams, Beijing is signaling zero tolerance for foreign market disruptions. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Prince Tripoli, SMNA News.
Tensions are flaring between Washington and Mexico City. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum is firing back at the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, telling the agency to clean up its own backyard before pointing fingers at Mexico. Angie De Leon has the details.
A bitter war of words has erupted between the Mexican Executive Office and U.S. Federal Drug Enforcement leadership. At her daily morning press conference, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum delivered a sharp rebuke to U.S. DEA Chief Terrence Cole. Sheinbaum flatly rejected allegations of cartel ties within her government, telling the DEA to redirect its resources toward America's own massive drug market.
Me parece a mí que la DEA tiene mucho trabajo en Estados Unidos. Normalmente la DEA dedica la mayor parte de su trabajo fuera de Estados Unidos, pero dentro de Estados Unidos tiene mucho trabajo y debería de estar dedicado al trabajo principalmente dentro de su país. Pues es una realidad. Hay producción de metanfetaminas en los Estados Unidos y de otras drogas, pero además la venta de droga, la mayor venta de droga en el mundo está en los Estados Unidos. ¿Quién la vende? ¿Cómo la venden? ¿Cómo la distribuyen? ¿Cómo lavan el dinero? Eso es algo que la DEA debería estar investigando.
The diplomatic feud intensified after Cole alleged a deadly connection between cartel networks and the Mexican government during his address at the Fentanyl Free American Summit in Florida earlier this week. Sheinbaum did not hold back in her response. She pointed to past institutional corruption within the American agency itself, specifically referencing the dismissal of Nicolas Palmieri, a former senior DEA official in Mexico, who was removed over improper contacts with cartel lawyers. She also pointed a 48% drop in homicides under her administration as proof of progress.
Hay muchas cosas que la DEA tiene que hacer en su propio país y dentro de su propia organización. Y no estar con declaraciones que en realidad es política la declaración. Entonces, negamos rotundamente las afirmaciones del titular de la DEA y lo conminamos a que trabaje mucho en Estados Unidos y dentro de su propia organización, y a que siga en todo caso colaborando con el gobierno de México de manera respetuosa, porque a México se le respeta.
While both neighboring countries remain deeply bound by extensive cross-border trade agreements and shared security treaties, the targeted rhetorical swipes highlight a growing nationalist pushback in Mexico City against a unilateral U.S. intelligence gathering. And despite the sharp exchange, Mexican officials maintained that functional, respectful bilateral cooperation on narcotics interdiction will continue. Angie De Leon, your Global Citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
In Sierra Leone, diplomatic and defense chiefs of ECOWAS have approved a blueprint to activate a regional standby force. The goal is to deploy a rapid response brigade to combat expanding jihadist insurgencies. Virgil Parva has the update.
West Africa's defense and diplomatic architectures are moving rapidly to build a unified front against the worsening security crisis. Meeting in Freetown, regional ministers formalized operational protocols for the immediate deployment of the ECOWAS standby force. ECOWAS Commission President Omar Aliou Touré says activating the brigade is a direct demonstration of regional resolve.
The activation of the ECOWAS standby force in its kinetic group should be understood not merely as a military initiative, but as a demonstration of our collective resolve to fight terrorism, safeguard constitutional order, protect our population, and preserve peace and stability in our region. The challenge of activating the 1,650 Brigade Counter-Terrorism Force remains that of funding.
The high-stakes ministerial session takes place amid significant geopolitical shifts as defense chiefs actively seek mechanisms to balance regional defenses following the recent exit of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger into the alliance of Sahel states. Sierra Leone's Foreign Minister Musa Timothy Kaba warned that rising violent extremism and threats to democratic institutions requires unprecedented coordination. The final structural recommendations drafted during the Freetown sessions will be submitted for formal ratification by regional presidents during the highly anticipated ECOWAS Mid-Year Summit, scheduled to open on July 18th.
From threat to democratic consolidation to transnational organized crime, terrorism and violent extremism, as well as the ongoing vulnerabilities of our democratic institutions. The mandate of this body has never been more essential. In these challenging circumstances, our capacity to convene, consult, collaborate, and act decisively is crucial for promoting peace, security, and good governance throughout our region.
The newly optimized force structure aims to deploy rapid response components directly into high-risk cross-border corridors to curb asymmetric attacks. The final mandate now heads to West African heads of state for review at the Mid-Year Summit on July 18th. This has been Verhil Parba, your Global Citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Up next, the defense team of Vice President Sara Duterte says it is keeping all legal options open. The lawyer said they will consider constitutional remedies if the impeachment court allows subpoenas for the vice president's bank, tax, and financial records. And former presidential legal counsel Salvador Panelo says the U.S. campaign against the International Criminal Court is long overdue. Panelo urged the Marcos Jr. administration to reassess its cooperation with the ICC and disregard the tribunal's actions. More news when Newsline World returns.
In a world that craves the light of truth, One Network stands as an immovable beacon. For years, the world recognized our unyielding spirit, crowning us the most credible media company of the year. We crossed oceans to become Asia's most trusted and valued international news team, and stood defiant as the most outstanding independent Philippine media. Now, in the year 2026, we still face the howling winds of challenges. They bend the law, trying to make us silent. They spread fear to make the industry turn away. But they have forgotten one absolute truth. SMNI is not built on the fleeting praise of fearful men. We are built in trust. Whether the recognition echoes loudly in the grand halls or sits silently in the living rooms of millions, our foundation cannot be broken. They can only try to silence us, but they cannot silence the people who know we are still the most trusted and quality news channel of the year. Guiding this unstoppable force is our honorary chairman of SMNI, Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy.
The mandate of SMNI for nation building. It is always for nation building.
He is not merely a leader. He is a celebrated spiritual leader with strong advocacy for peace and nation builder of the year, hailed globally as a humanitarian pastor of the year, and the most influential and powerful man of the decade. Through every storm, he stands as the king of peace, championing sustainability and pushing for a unified nation when the world needs it most. Let the shadows try to fall, let the establishment tremble. We are the certified most sustainable and reliable news channel. We are the pulse of the nation. We are the shield of the innocent. The truth is our armor. The people our strength. We are SMNI, and our legacy is the truth.
Kapag hindi yan ibinalita ng SMNI, hindi yan totoo.
Sa SMNI lang po nanonood at nag-aabang ng balita. Matanda na ako. Isa lang ang pinagkakatiwalaan ko. SMNI.
Hello, ate kuya. Ano po channel ang pinapanood niyo po sa balita?
Oo, ako siguradong SMNI. Kasi kung sino yung pinagkatiwalaan ng Duterte, doon kami.
Yes! Yes! Nakapalo po! Ayan po! SMNI!
Wow.
Bakit SMNI? SMNI kasi legit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. No fake news, SMNI.
Ngayon po bilang isang OFW at bilang isang Pilipino, in-encourage ko nga yung mga kababayan ko na manood na lang tayo ng SMNI dahil patas ang balita at may puso at malasakit para sa sitwasyon natin sa bansang Pilipinas.
Para sa akin, kung ako sa inyo, tumutok kayo sa SMNI dahil dyan lang po tayo makakaasa ng tapat at totoong balita.
Anong channel po pinapanood niyo sa balita?
SMNI lang po.
SMNI lang, wala nang iba.
Para sa Diyos at sa Pilipinas, dating mahal.
And we're back. The defense team of Vice President Sara Duterte is keeping its options open, stating that they will evaluate all available legal remedies should the impeachment court grant the motion to subpoena the Vice President's bank, tax, and AMLAC records. Faith Agustin reports.
On Monday, the impeachment court is expected to hand down its decision on the prosecution panel's motion seeking to subpoena the Bank, Tax, and Anti-Money Laundering Council or AMLAC records of Vice President Sara Duterte. Should the court greenlight the motion, defense spokesperson Attorney Michael Poa maintained that it is still too early to detail their exact next steps. However, he emphasized that the defense team will thoroughly assess all possible legal avenues and will consult closely with Vice President Sara Duterte before finalizing their strategy.
Ngayon, kung ano man ang maging desisyon nila, we will have to explore kung meron tayong remedies, we'll have to see kung ano yung pwede, and of course, done in consultation with our client. No? But right now, I think it's too early to say. Kung ano man ang next step namin, also, we don't usually, as you've noticed, the defense team, we don't telegraph. In fact, we didn't tell anyone that I was going to be the one doing the oral arguments today, di ba? So, we don't really telegraph our next moves. But sa atin, no, we have to respect, of course, the impeachment court. But aside from that, we also have to do our job and discuss the matter with our client first kung ano yung gusto niyang mangyari.
Poe asserted that while the defense team also wants the truth to come out, the process must strictly adhere to the Constitution, existing laws, and the established rules of the impeachment trial. He added that they do not want to preempt the decision of the senator judges out of respect for the impeachment court, nor can they discuss the specific merits of the case publicly.
Sa akin naman po, no, I don't really want to dictate on the impeachment court out of due respect to our senator judges, and we really cannot talk about the merits. Pero siguro, explain ko lang yung ating naging posisyon naman is, of course, we all want the truth, di ba? But in search for the truth, we must still work within the limitations of the Constitution, the law, and the rules.
Meanwhile, Poa noted that the upcoming ruling of the impeachment court carries significant weight as it could set a precedent for future impeachment cases. Nonetheless, he expressed confidence in the fairness and competence of the senator judges handling the trial. Poa concluded that while the defense team will respect the final ruling of the court, they will not hesitate to utilize any legal remedies permitted by law if necessary.
Tama po yan, ganun naman po talaga, no? Whatever happens in the impeachment trial, but I think naman po, no, our senator judges are more than capable, and whatever they do, nakikita nyo nga na past few days, ang gaganda ng mga insights ng ating mga senator judges, no? And I'm not just saying for us or against us, wala namang ganun. In fact, I feel that they have been quite impartial talaga po, no? And based on that, we will just respect whatever decision they have, but again, we will see if there is a need to resort to remedies, etc., provided by law.
This has been Faith Agustin, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
The Senate impeachment court has yet to decide whether to grant the motion to make Vice President Sara Duterte's financial records public and broadcast them on national television. Daniela Paulita reports.
The Senate Impeachment Court has deferred its decision on the prosecution's request to subpoena the bank documents of Vice President Sara Duterte. Following intense oral arguments, the senator judges held a closed-door caucus for nearly 2 hours during the ongoing impeachment trial of the Vice President. They deliberated on the prosecution's formal request to subpoena the Bureau of Internal Revenue records, Anti-Money Laundering Council records, and the bank documents of Vice President Duterte. The request also covers the bank documents of her husband, Second Gentleman Attorney Manasseh Carpio. Due to the complexity of the arguments, the impeachment court officially set the release of its ruling for Monday, July 20. According to Senate Impeachment Court Presiding Officer Senator Cheese Escudero, the senator judges agreed that they needed to thoroughly review the memoranda submitted by both the defense and prosecution, as well as the legal intricacies of the subpoena motions.
The senator judges agreed in caucus to decide on the matter on Monday. The senator judges agreed to study the matter more, given that not everyone has actually completed reading the memoranda given by the parties and submitted by the parties, and given that they want more time to look into the complicated issues involved in these two motions for the issuance of subpoena.
On Monday, prior to rendering their decision on the two subpoena motions, the senator judges will be given the opportunity to directly question both the prosecution and defense panels. Meanwhile, the House prosecution panel has withdrawn several witnesses who were initially scheduled to testify under Article 4, which tackles the allegations of grave threats against the Vice President. According to lead prosecutor Representative Jervil Luistro, they will no longer present the representative from the Philippine National Police Firearms and Explosives Office. Several members of the media who attended the controversial press conference were also removed from the witness list. Other witnesses withdrawn by the panel include former Davao City Sheriff Abby Andres, a member of the family of the alleged victim of the threats, and psychiatrist. The prosecution explained that these witnesses were dropped to prevent repetitive testimonies.
Reiterating, however, the same concern on redundancy, surplusage, and lack of necessity, the prosecution further manifests that we will not be presenting as well the following witnesses for Article 4, that is threat.
The prosecution panel confirmed that National Bureau of Investigation Director Melvin Matibag is now the sole remaining witness for Article 4. He is expected to face the impeachment court on Tuesday, July 21, to deliver his testimony. Additionally, the prosecution panel has petitioned the impeachment court to issue a subpoena and testificandum and subpoena duces tecum for witnesses under Article 1. Article 1 concerns the alleged misuse of confidential funds by the Office of the Vice President in the Department of Education. Among those requested to be subpoenaed are Marivic Pareja, along with the Land Bank of the Philippines officials Violeta Constantino and Nenita Camposano, who are expected to testify on July 21 and 22. The prosecution has also requested a subpoena duces tecum for Land Bank President and CEO Lynette Ortiz to secure vital bank documents relevant to the case. Reporting for Newsline World, Daniela Paulita, Azumariah News.
Following the United States launch of a government-wide campaign against the International Criminal Court, or ICC, former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo said it is long overdue to stop what he described as the tribunal's interference in the sovereignty of countries, particularly those that are not members of the court. He also had a message for the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. regarding this issue. This report. Former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo commended the Trump administration's decision to launch a government-wide campaign against the International Criminal Court, or ICC. According to Panelo, it is long overdue to stop what he described as the ICC's interference in the sovereignty of various countries, including the Philippines. Panelo said he supports the Trump administration's position of encouraging countries to withdraw from the ICC. He added that if member states continue to leave the tribunal, it could eventually lead to its dissolution. Panelo also argued that the detention of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is an example of what he described as the ICC's unlawful interference in a country that is no longer a member of the tribunal. Panelo further claimed that the ICC interfered with the Philippine sovereignty through the cooperation of the Marcos Jr. administration, an act he described as unlawful. The former palace official also stressed that what he called the ICC's illegal and intrusive actions against non-member states should be stopped. Meanwhile, Panelo also had a message for the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. This, he said, was in relation to the government's response to key national issues and the public sentiment reflected in recent surveys.
Yeah, ang Pilipino kahit na mabagal gumalaw. Pero pag gumalaw naman to, sigurado tanggal ka. O kaya yan ang ingatan ng minister. Kayo'y kailangan tanggapin nyo na ang katotohanan. Na talagang mulat sa pool, wala kayong ginawang wasto na matutuwa ang sambayan ng Pilipino. And that is evident doon sa mga surveys.
It can be recalled that in March 2019, the Philippines' withdrawal from the International Criminal Court took effect after the administration of then-President Rodrigo Duterte decided to leave the Rome Statute, the treaty that established the ICC. The issues surrounding the alleged billions of pesos in unliquidated funds for the 2019 SEA Games Sports Complex has resurfaced after the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, announced the creation of a special task force to investigate alleged irregularities. However, amid the ongoing impeachment trial, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano questioned the timing of the investigation, warning that it could have a possible chilling effect on the impeachment court. This report from Kaibilan.
The National Bureau of Investigation will form a special task force to conduct an in-depth investigation into the alleged billions of pesos in unliquidated funds related to the sports complex used during the 2019 Southeast Asian Games. According to NBI Director Melvin Matibag, documents containing information that require thorough investigation have already reached the agency's office.
And we in possession of documents already na meron talagang kailangan imbestigahan because there are a huge amount of money na na-involved dito. If you recall, there was no bidding na ginawa rito, tapos unliquidated, so marami na kailangan tingnan. That's why I'm creating a unit ngayon yung
The task force will be composed of the Financial Investigation Unit and the Special Action Unit. It will lead the investigation in coordination with the Commission on Audit, or COA, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Basis Conversion and Development Authority, or BCDA. Matibag said the NBI has not yet identified any individuals as being responsible in the ongoing investigation, although several personalities have reportedly emerged from the documents currently under review. He added that the probe is not the result of renewed interest in pursuing anyone, but is instead based on new evidence that the NBI has received.
So hindi naman to renewed interest. It so happen na may mga lumabas kayo na dokumento which will lead us to investigate. So once and for all, we settle it kung meron ba talagang dapat managot o wala, or kung ano talaga yung investigation. So
Senator Judge Alan Peter Cayetano meanwhile said the 2019 SEA Games Sports Complex has already been investigated several times and that the NBI's announcement while the impeachment trial is ongoing could have a chilling effect on the impeachment court.
So, I mean, if they want to investigate, go ahead. But by mentioning the organizing committee of the SEA Games, ako po chairman nun. At paninindigan ko po na napakaganda nung nangyari doon. At kung may anomalya, ako unang magagalit.
Cayetano also clarified that he had no involvement in the infrastructure projects being referred to by the NBI. He urged the authorities to allow the investigation to be completed before disclosing it to the public, saying that doing so would help avoid affecting the integrity of the impeachment court.
I'll repeat what I said when I was Senate President. Director, hindi mo kami natibag. So wag mo try itibagin tong representation na to o itong impeachment court because what you're doing is not helping. You investigate whatever you want to investigate. Pero wag mo nang i-announce kasi nga naaapektuhan yung integrity ng court.
Meanwhile, the NBI also clarified that the alleged anomaly involving the sports complex was discovered only incidentally during a visit to Clark, where officials were inspecting the 70-hectare property designated as the future site of the NBI Academy. Reporting for Newsline World, Kai Villan, SMNI News.
Sa panahon ng ingay, sa panahon ng maraming tanong, panahon na para marinig ang katotohanan.
Sa totoo lang, ano ba talaga ang nangyayari sa ating bansa?
At sa totoo lang, handa ba tayong harapin ang katotohanan?
Sa totoo lang,
dito walang iwasan,
walang paligoy-ligoy,
diretsong usapan.
Sa totoo lang.
Sa SMNI.
The wait is finally over. Christopher Nolan's highly anticipated 3-hour blockbuster The Odyssey, starring Matt Damon as a morally complex hero and featuring stunning practical effect action, officially hits global theaters this Friday, July 17. And for the second time, Warner Brothers has officially pushed back the release of its highly anticipated DC sequel. But to soften the blow, director Matt Reeves has shared the first official camera test of Robert Pattinson's return as a Caped Crusader, complete with a very specific bat-suit upgrade. Here's Andrea Santos for the show buzz.
Following a highly anticipated build-up, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has finally hit theaters as an ambitious action-adventure blockbuster that trades a dry classics lesson for a spectacular, deeply human cinematic experience. Before heading to theaters, here are the 5 key takeaways from this spectacular, thoughtful drama. Matt Damon delivers a mesmerizing, action-packed performance as a morally complex Odysseus, masterfully carrying the film's heavy emotional and ethical weight as a flawed hero forced to make agonizing choices. By relying on IMAX cameras and stunning practical effects rather than heavy CGI, Christopher Nolan delivers an explosive, highly immersive cinematic experience that plunges audiences directly into the movie's terrifying and epic battles. Supported by Matt Damon's anchoring performance, Christopher Nolan has assembled an elite, star-studded ensemble cast featuring fierce and impactful turns from Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Samantha Morton, and John Leguizamo. Despite a slightly slow start, Nolan's 3-hour epic masterfully uses a looping, non-linear narrative to fly through the classic tale while delivering a resonant, modern message about honesty and bravery. And although its relentless, jaw-dropping action slightly mutes its emotional depth compared to Oppenheimer, The Odyssey remains an absolute triumph, offering a rich, magical, and highly repeatable cinematic spectacle. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers has delayed The Batman Part 2 once again to February 18, 2028, marking a nearly 6-year wait since the original film, but director Matt Reeves has softened the blow by releasing the first official camera test footage of Robert Pattinson's return. The atmospheric new footage shows Robert Pattinson's Dark Knight in the pouring rain, featuring a redesigned cowl with noticeably longer ears that director Matt Reeves officially confirmed. The Batman Part 2's shift to 2028 is part of a major Warner Bros. Theatrical reshuffle that has also impacted the release dates of J.J. Abrams' The Great Beyond, Sam Esmail's Panic Carefully, and Revenge of La Leonora. Despite the long wait, The Batman Part 2 boasts a spectacular cast combining returning stars like Jeffrey Wright, Andy Serkis, and Colin Farrell, with powerhouse newcomers including Sebastian Stan, Scarlett Johansson, Charles Dance, Sebastian Koch, and Brian Tyree Henry. While plot details for The Batman Part 2 remain under wraps, director Matt Reeves has teased a never-before-seen cinematic villain, with HBO's The Penguin series serving as a direct narrative bridge leading into the 2028 sequel. This has been Andrea Santos, your citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest showbuzz.
In latest sports updates, Alex Yala is targeting a gold medal when she represents the Philippines at the Asian Games in Japan this September. Meanwhile, defending champion Argentina rallied late to defeat England 2-1 and took a place in the FIFA World Cup final. Here are the latest updates. Alex Yala confirmed that competing in the Asian Games is part of her plans as she aims to improve on her successful debut in 2023, where she captured a bronze medal in the mixed doubles alongside Francis Casey Alcantara. The Filipina tennis star said she always enjoys representing the country in regional multi-sport events, having also ended the Philippines' 26-year women's singles gold medal drought at the Southeast Asian Games last December. Before the Asian Games, Yala will compete in the North American hard court swing, beginning with the Mubadala DC Open, followed by the Canadian Open and the W1000 Cincinnati Open, where the world number 28 is expected to receive a first-round bye in 2 of the tournaments. Yala hopes to carry the momentum from her historic Wimbledon campaign into the hard court season before chasing Asian Games gold for the Philippines. Meanwhile, Lionel Messi delivered 2 crucial assists as Argentina came from behind in the closing minutes to beat England 2-1 in the World Cup semifinals. Anthony Gordon put England ahead in the 55th minute, but Enzo Fernandez equalized in the 85th minute before substitute Lautaro Martinez headed home Messi's cross in second-half stoppage time to complete the dramatic comeback. Argentina will face Spain in the World Cup final on Sunday in East Rutherford, New Jersey, as the defending champions seek to become the first nation since Brazil in 1962 to win back-to-back World Cup titles. The victory sends Argentina back to the World Cup final and keeps alive its bid for another historic championship behind Lionel Messi's leadership. And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the Psalm. No matter who you are or whatever your circumstances in life, there are always things to be grateful for. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Carlo de la Peña. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.